Alofa Lava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suisuiki. Coming up.
It's completely overrun. It is part of what we're facing every other day. We have certain cells for certain remandees and the serious crimes.
PNG police blame overrun prisons on mass breakouts. Also, Vanuatu strives to improve its disaster response. And
I was doing some gun at home, then go to get my phone, and I saw the missed call from Gaza. I just called him straight away.
It's a dream come true for two new All Black players. Police in Papua New Guinea say the country's overrun courts and prisons are behind mass breakouts from police custody. Chief Superintendent Clement Dala made the comments after 13 detainees escaped last Tuesday in Simbu Province, including 8 who are facing murder charges. Margot Staunton asked Clement Dala why the recent escape is not unusual.
One of the main reasons is the overcrowding in our justice system, given their own challenges, especially the court system. So sometimes these are the main causes. So we have challenges, including infrastructure and how we process our prisoners quickly in the correctional services. So it's one of those main factors behind some of those escapes from the prison cells.
Do you have any idea how many people are in remand across PNG at any one time? Are there any estimates or figures?
I wouldn't give a total figure because that would come from the team down at our headquarters.
Okay, well, what about in your area then?
Between the figure of 30 to 200 at any one time. These are police cells we're talking about, not correctional service facilities.
Is there the capacity for up to 200 or are they completely overrun?
It's 10 or 20 times overrun. We really need to look at that and try and make some improvements in the future. But these are some of the factors that are part of what we're facing every other day.
How do you deal with that many people? Are they all just crammed into a cell and does that cause more violence in those situations?
Yeah, we have certain cells for certain remandees and the serious crimes, the child offenders and women. But it comes to a situation where we are overcrowded. Sometimes we have to keep them in a main corridor, especially the minor crimes, because they are quickly processed and given the penalties. But we try as much as possible to get rid of the overcrowding on a daily basis, especially the minor crimes.
Do you succeed in doing that or not?
We do. Every day has its own challenges. We sometimes have a lot of prisoners given a day, and then sometimes it reduces. So we manage them every other day. It's been a challenge, to say the least.
Well, on top of that, you've got a severe shortage of officers, haven't you?
Of course, we do. We have a severe shortage of manpower, and some men do overtime to make sure we keep up with what we're supposed to do without complaining. So that's what I've been doing in most centers. One of the main reasons is that there's overcrowding. When there's an overcrowding, we seem to have a lot of things to do in some of the areas where we can't even check, like especially checking prisoners every now and then, moving in and out. They move in with little objects and stuff like that to break through walls and iron bars and all that shit. So that one of the main reasons is overcrowding, and maybe because we have a capacity issue with space in the cells, and then comes back to the remandees being not processed quickly, given the fact that each process requires police to do good investigation and the witnesses are available, and if we can't find witnesses to process it, the witnesses are kept over a period of time, and then it continues to build some. And then the other one is the cell management system. We need to have good managers on the ground so that everyone that goes into a cell block must be charged properly, not just detained because someone wants someone in the cells. They must be charged, they have a charge book number and properly documented in the register before it's locked up. So that has not been done in most other centers, so that needs to be improved. And then we need to have a good lock-up system and separate all the serious crimes offenders from the minor crimes, and the juvenile and the woman prisoners can be kept separately, so we can have a good monitoring system. But this is internal management system that we will have to look at. Panel one is infrastructure. We need to have most of the cells were built during the colonial period, and they're still there. As time goes on, population has increased, and people have increased to resort to a lot of crimes. So we need to increase the space in the cell, which means we need to build new cell blocks to accommodate the increase in the number of people we bring into the cells every day.
How long did some of these remand prisoners actually spend in a cell waiting to be transferred? What would be the longest period of time someone would be stuck there?
Depends on the investigators. If they're able to find the witnesses and able to put the court files together, we sort of get them processed in court quickly. But in a given time, we could say 2 weeks to a month or so. But then we have a system in place where when they're kept for a longer period, the OIC cells and the OIC prosecutions normally do a report, so we will see how best we can fast-track the case to get them out of the cells quickly.
Is a month the longest period of time or even longer than that?
We normally make sure they process within a month, depending on each circumstance. But if they keep longer than that, we will have to identify the reasons. But yes, in some very exceptional circumstances, some exceeds over a month. But we kind of ensure it doesn't go beyond that, because then it increases the number of people we continue to keep in the cell, and then it borders on the rights to be kept.
6 police officers on duty at the time have been suspended for 21 days while investigations continue. A program to compensate people exposed to radiation from past US nuclear weapons testing and manufacturing may have Guam removed from it. President of Pacific Association for Radiation Survivors, Robert Celestial, told Caleb Fotheringham he's unsure why it has happened.
Guam was on the original bill. It was Senate Bill 243, but for some reason they took out Idaho, Guam, Colorado, and Montana. And this bill now would give $100,000 to those that were downwind from nuclear detonations, like New Mexico and Utah and Nevada, and also will give compensation to those who worked in the mills and the mines for that mine uranium. And also, it'll give compensation to those who were exposed to toxic waste like Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alaska. And so we're kind of sad that they took out Guam, and we've always been in every bill for the past 16 years. And then when we come this close, they've taken us out.
Have you been told by anyone why Guam has been taken out of this bill?
No. As a matter of fact, I've made a couple of inquiries. Inquired to Chris Wise he's, I believe, the legislative director for Senator Hawley. I've made inquiries to, to my congressman, and he doesn't know either. So we haven't been told anything right now.
Is there still time and a chance for Guam to get back on this bill?
Yes, we're hopeful that when the bill gets back to the House, hopefully this week or next week, then there's an opportunity for Congressman Moylan to submit an amendment, and hopefully the amendment could make it on time, and it has to get voted in the House. And then if it's voted in the House, then hopefully Guam and Colorado and the other states will be included, also with Utah and New Mexico.
If this goes through and Guam does in fact actually get included on this bill, what will this mean for radiation survivors on Guam?
Well, anyone who was in Guam from 1946 to 1962 for at least 1 year, the compensation will be $100,000 to the individual, or to the spouse, or to the children if they have passed away. Then it even goes all the way down to the grandchildren. So let's say an individual that was here like in 46, 47, 48, 49, for at least 1 year, and they had one of the compensable cancers, which I believe there's 19 cancers, then they could apply to the Department of Justice, and if they're eligible, and they could just be submitted. Receive the $100,000.
Has the US recognized officially that people on Guam have suffered from high amounts of radiation exposure before?
Yes, ever since 2005 through the National Academy of Science. In 2002, Congress asked the National Research Council to form the Board of Radiation Effects Research Committee. And so one of their mandates was to go out throughout nationwide and find out what other geographical areas to include in RECA. And so I was asked to come before the National Academy of Science in 2004, present our case. We submitted with the other states, and we testified, and they published the book, The Recep. And in there, in page 200, it does says the conclusion that the residents of Guam during that time period should be included in RECA as downwinders, that we were exposed by the nuclear testings in the Pacific.
Just to be completely clear, has Guam been given any reconciliation payments for nuclear testing before?
No, never. This will be the first time.
Is Guam being a US territory instead of a US state, is that part of the reason for it, do you think?
I do not know. I do not know. I really don't. I can't even uh, stipulate. I can't even assume anything. I mean, I really would like to know the reason because it can't be for amount of money because they added Alaska, Tennessee, and Alaska almost on the last minute. And so why would they take us out? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Have you priced it up? Do you know how much it would cost for Guam to be included?
Yes, yes. During that time, if you look at our census, we had in 1962, it's the last year, we had like 70,000 people here, and if you do it less than half of that, which would probably be about 30-some thousand, because not all of them are going to be have cancer at that time. So we just rounded off. So we gave it like 40,000 people. So 40,000, there'll be only $4 million for Guam. Not like the states. If they had like 500,000 people, it'll cost them like $300 million. So Guam is very minimal compared to what those states were asking.
Vanuatu is making significant progress in strengthening its disaster and health emergency response systems by completing its first ever national evaluation supported by the World Health Organization. The joint external evaluation involved collaboration among health, disaster and planning agencies to identify gaps and enhance cross-sector coordination. This initiative follows a series of challenges over the past year, including back-to-back cyclones and earthquake and disease outbreaks. Grace Fever Eye spoke with a WHO Country Liaison Officer in Vanuatu, Dr. Revite Kiriton.
Yeah, so the Vanuatu government formally requested for the joint external evaluation last year. An important first step or first part of the JEE is self-assessment. And so in the lead up to the JEE, WHO has been supporting the Ministry of Health and its key stakeholders with the self-assessments. And the outcome of this were jointly verified by the external JEE experts during the joint external evaluation week. Also, in the lead up to the joint external evaluation, WHO assembled a team of international experts for the mission who all visited Vanuatu last week for the verification and joined the evaluation exercise.
Awesome. So what were the high-level findings from the JEE?
The evaluation highlighted several strengths in the Vanuatu's health system, including strong political commitment, effective coordination during the COVID-19 response, and deep-rooted community engagement. However, it also identified critical areas for improvement and provided a set of strategic recommendations to guide future actions. And I just want to quickly go through those actions. So it included the need to strengthen laboratory pathways to improve detection of communicable diseases. A key recommendation is an enhancement of multi-sectoral coordination and collaboration through the establishment of a national IHR authority, which help streamline efforts across sectors. It also required a strengthening of subnational health security across capacities and bringing core health facilities, health services closer to people, where people live. The second last high-level recommendation was about enhancing risk communications and community engagement at national and subnational levels. And finally, the need to develop a costed and prioritized 5-year national action plan for health security. So those were the key high-level recommendations. And going forward, WHO will continue to support Vanuatu through its local and regional teams, including providing technical assistance for the development of the costed and prioritized national action plan for health security.
Five new players were named by All Blacks head coach Scott Robertson in the 33-member squad announced on Monday to prepare for test matches against France in July. Two new names were celebrated across the Pasifika community, both here in New Zealand and abroad. Fiji-born Highlanders co-captain Timothy Tavata Vanawai and Hurricanes co-captain Duplessis Kirifi. Both Tavata Vanawai for the Highlanders and Kirifi for the Hurricanes had explosive seasons during the 2025 Super Rugby Pacific Series. Elias Atora has the story.
Kirifi revealed after the squad announcements that he had contemplated leaving for an overseas contract, but he decided to stay and chase his All Black dream after many questions of his future elsewhere were left unanswered.
I had a big decision to make at the start of the season about whether I was going to stay in New Zealand or head overseas, and part of that decision was around fulfilment and unanswered questions, and my partner, myself and my family felt like I hadn't really given it my all yet and I would be leaving with some questions unanswered. So yeah, we know we made the right decision to stay, and obviously part of that was to become an All Black.
Tavata Vanawai, on the other hand, says he had left Fiji for New Zealand with hopes and a great goal set by his late dad, Taitusi Tambaleka, who died in 2022 during the COVID-19 lockdown.
I was doing some gun at home, then go to get my phone, and I saw the missed call from RNZ. I just called him straight away. Then yeah, he told me a lot with me and my family. Especially coming over to Fiji, dream myself a goal. My old man, self for myself, and to see him watching from above and see I achieve that goal, it's kind of feel awesome.
Dunedin Fijian community leader Eric Nambalangi says Tavata Vanawai deserves his All Blacks call-up, adding the player had proven himself in the last 3 years while playing Super Rugby here in New Zealand and is a game changer.
Timothy Tavata was the name I wanted to hear during his All Blacks announcement. I'm very proud and excited for Jim. He had a great season. Jim brought that Bula flying Fijian flavor in the Super Rugby's competition that everyone gravitates to. The brass he can kick, he can carry, he can tackle, he can jackal at the same time. Jim is a game changer.
Nambalang says a former Queen Victoria School student from Tailevu in Fiji is a down-to-earth person who is also a crowd attraction down in Dunedin.
People just love him because he is very friendly, very down-to-earth guy. And when you meet him, especially when you meet him in the community, I'm just happy. I'm just so happy for him and his family, his teammates, and not forgetting all those who are part of his journey.
Mom Melania Rangina told Pacific Media Network from Fiji that she was overjoyed and revealed she and her late husband knew their son was destined for bigger things because he loved rugby at a very young age and never left his boots when he went anywhere.
When he was at home, training was more important to him than anything else, and he must always take his boots and have that in his bag all the time. He can leave clothes out of the bag, but his boot must be in the bag before he leaves to go anywhere.
Kirifi and Tavata Vanawai join a number of other Pacifica heritage players in the All Blacks, including Adi Savea, Sevu Rees, Samisoni Tauke Aho and Patrick Tupulotu, to name a few. The All Blacks are now in camp preparing for next weekend's first test against the French in Dunedin.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā, sui fua.